Hello, friend. Don Woodard here. Welcome to Faith, Relationships, and Life. We like to say around here, life's about relationships. And in our conversation today, I want to talk to you about an important aspect of relationships. I want to introduce this with a few questions. I want to introduce our thought or lesson with a few questions. And so here's the questions. What thoughts do you have toward the people that you interact with daily? What thoughts do you have toward those closest to you, your spouse, children, parents, grandchildren, grandparents, close friends, neighbors, work associates? I think you get the idea. What are your thoughts toward them? I've been working on this in my own life and thinking about it a lot. About the people I'm closest to. What do I think? What thoughts do I have in my heart toward them? And how does that affect my interaction with them? Are my thoughts toward them the idea that I value them, that I want to encourage them, that I want to be a blessing to them, what thoughts do I have? It's interesting, a very popular verse of scripture about this kind of thing is Jeremiah chapter 29 verse 11. God said, "For I know the thoughts I think toward you, saith the Lord, thoughts of peace and not of evil, to give you an expected end." So in other words, God has good thoughts toward us with a purpose in mind. His thoughts are, we would say, positive toward us, all right? The word thought is the idea of design or purpose. The word think means to believe, to esteem, or to meditate on. The thoughts that we have, the thoughts we believe about people, what we meditate on about the people that we interact with daily, the people that we're closest to, those thoughts will affect our attitude toward them and our behavior toward them. It will affect the way we approach them and the way we respond to them. Now, to me, this is a great subject. This is something that we need to talk about. This is something that I believe can improve any relationship, and I think it can just improve us in our own spiritual growth in life. Now, I want to give you an illustration, and this is not the best illustration, but I believe it makes a point, and I believe it needs to be said. A person that is racially prejudiced is so because of the thoughts and intents of their heart. The prejudiced person has racist thoughts in their heart because someone sowed those thoughts in their heart. And at whatever point of life they're in, they've not yet removed those thoughts or changed those thoughts and intents in their heart. Now, there's other reasons that we have specific thoughts in our hearts towards certain people. Maybe we've seen their behavior. Maybe we see serious character flaws in them. Maybe they have hurt us or they've hurt someone that we love. And those things will affect the way we think toward them. There's also the good side. We've seen good behavior in them. We've seen their kindness. We've seen the strength of their character, that they have good character. We've seen that they've been good to us, and maybe they've been good to people that we care about, people we love. So their actions, their behavior, is part of what forms the thoughts we have toward them. But what I want to focus on is the thoughts we have about the people that we interact daily and how we need to work on forming those thoughts, especially toward those closest to us, as we listed earlier. Our spouse, children, parents, grandchildren, close friends, neighbors, work associates. What thoughts do you have toward those folks? And when you see them or think about them, what thoughts come into your mind? There's some people, and all of us do this, okay? I'm just trying to improve me, all right? There's some people, when you see them or you think about them, you think, oh my, they just don't have any character, or we think, boy, they're just so discouraging to be around. We have these thoughts. There's other people that we might we know that we think of them, or our paths cross. We think, oh boy, that person's just wonderful. They have been so kind to me. They have a good heart. So the thoughts we have toward them is what we're looking at. So God said He thinks thoughts of peace toward us. And what's interesting is we're flawed. Okay, God has these great thoughts. We have weaknesses, we fail, but God, He's our creator. And He loves us, and He has these good thoughts. God focuses on our potential. He thinks about our potential, but we're not God. So we can't think the way that God thinks. Again, He said, for my thoughts are not your thoughts, neither are my ways your ways. There's no way you and I can think like God. However, we can discipline ourselves to think good thoughts toward others. Now, the Apostle Paul is a good example of this. I love the Apostle Paul. I love his letters. I love to read the experiences he had. I love to read about as he talks about where he came from, his conversion, from being someone that hated Christ and the cause of Christ to someone who served Christ and loved Christ and brought many people to Christ. What a great transformation he had. So the point is, he was a flawed man that loved flawed people and that had good thoughts toward people, other human beings that were flawed. Paul's often referred to as the greatest Christian that ever lived, and what we overlook is he was also the biggest scoundrel that ever lived, all the bad things he did, but God used him greatly. So from Paul's words, I want to give us an outline of how we need to think good thoughts toward those that we interact with and how we can do that. So I'll read a couple verses to us, a little section here from Philippians chapter 1. Paul's writing to the church at Philippi. He begins in verse 3. I thank my God upon every remembrance of you, always in every prayer of mine for you all, making requests with joy for your fellowship in the gospel from the first day until now, being confident of this very thing. This is verse 6. I love this. Being confident of this very thing, that he which hath begun a good work in you will perform it until the day of Jesus Christ. That's positive. That is, I don't want to get ahead of myself, but that's seeing potential. Paul sees potential in these people. Verse 7, even as it is meet for me to think this of you all, because I have you in my heart, inasmuch as both in my bonds and in the defense and confirmation of the gospel, ye all are partakers of my grace. He's saying, I'm sharing my grace with you. God's blessing me, and I want to share that with you. There's a lot in that. So let's break it down a little bit. 6 things, okay, I see here that Paul gives us on how we can discipline ourselves to think good thoughts toward people. And I promise you, in doing that, it'll help you improve your relationship with them. And I believe it'll help you improve your relationship with the Lord, first of all, and then with yourself, and then with those closest to you. Number 1, thank God for them. First thing Paul says, I thank God for you. So thank God for them. There is a reason that God has placed them in your life. And the truth is, it's hard to hate someone that you're thanking God for and that you're praying for. It's hard to have bad thoughts and bad feelings towards someone that you're praying for and that you want good things to happen to. And so that's how we begin, I believe, changing our thoughts, is by thanking God for that person. Number 2, pray for them joyfully. If you're struggling with someone and you want the relationship to improve, pray for them and ask God to show you what you can do to improve the relationship and what you can do to help them. Number 3, focus on the things you have in common. If they're a believer, Christ is the most important thing, a person that you have in common. And if they're not, then look at what you do have in common with them. What is the connection? Why are you connected to them? What is the thing that's in common with them? You focus on that. Number 4, and I think this is so important, Focus on their potential and the potential of your relationship with them. In verse 6, as I read a moment ago, and I stated that I love that verse. I used to use that verse a lot in working with young people and telling them, hey, God has begun something in you. God's working in your life, and there's a purpose for you. And so Paul is here in verse 6, he's thinking of their potential, and therefore he's seeing their potential. Everyone has potential. And if we think and believe that people have potential, then they will think and believe that they have potential. If we believe the relationship can be better and has the potential of being better, and then the other person will believe the relationship has potential to be better, and they'll work on it as well. Number 5, there is a purpose for right thinking. There's a reason we need to think right. God has a reason for thinking right toward us, for focusing on our potential. He created us. You and I cannot create another human being except for parenting a human being, but we can't create another person, but we can influence that creation. We can encourage that creation. We can, maybe a good word is we can mold them. I think that's what influencing does. To influence someone, you're molding them. You're trying to encourage them and help them. So we can do that. There's a purpose in having the right thinking. Verse 7, Paul said, "It is meet for me to think this of you." That word meet means it's suitable, it's proper. It also has the idea of it has a use or purpose. There's a purpose, Paul's saying, for me to think these things of you. So Paul said, I'm focused on your potential. I have good thoughts toward you in my heart. It's what's in our heart. Out of the heart, the mouth speaketh. So number 6, good thoughts toward others will produce good results for you. Verses 9 and 10, let me read those. Verses 9 and 10, Paul continues. Verse 9, "And this I pray, that your love may abound yet more and more in knowledge and in all judgment, that ye may approve things that are excellent, that ye may be sincere and without offense till the day of Christ." So Paul desired that they do well. Paul desired that the people, the believers at the church at Philippi, that they be victorious and successful in their relationship with God, in their relationship with themselves, and their relationships with others within the church, and then with their own personal relationships. Paul writes a lot in Galatians, Ephesians, Philippians, Colossians. He talks a lot about relationships, including and especially relationships within the family. Now, the Apostle Paul, he did well. He was victorious. Paul did not sit around thinking bad thoughts about people that hurt him or wronged him. Paul focused on people that he could disciple and influence. He focused his thoughts on people's potential. So, what thoughts do you have toward those closest to you? Your thoughts toward them affects your emotions toward them, and your emotions toward them affects your behavior toward them. Change your thoughts, and your emotions and actions will change. So, think about the people you're closest to, the people that you would say, these are the people I love the most. What are your thoughts toward them? Maybe there's been an issue. Maybe there's been a problem. If you want to make that issue better, I believe it begins with our thoughts toward that person. So anyway, a couple things to think about. I love this thought. This is helping me personally, and so I hope it's a blessing and encouragement to you. If I could invite you, please like, share, comment, and subscribe to our channel. We would be thrilled to have you. We're trying to make sure we get something up here every week, and so we do ask that you subscribe. So anyway, hey, this is Don Woodard. I thank you for listening, and I will see you next time.